him few months ago at DLD Munich, and I thought to myself, what a nice pitch and
Peach?
yeah, talk. And
Papa don't peach?
yeah, and I was thinking to myself, just because you didn't make friends with Yossi Baldi, you weren't invited to DLD Munich, doesn't necessarily mean that you will have to lose this great talk. So, here we are.
Okay, I'm on Yossi Svarti gray list, so I'm not going to make any comments. Hi everyone. Not many people, but every one of you is a star. So I like to think about the Foo Fighters in this situation because they show everywhere, and everywhere they show what's important for them is that everybody will be happy, everybody will gain, and that's what I'm going to try to do here. So, wait a minute. I have a mic here. What's that for? That's for the okay, for the recording. So I'm going to speak about something that I spoke quite some times before, but it's getting more examples of useless activities and how innovative thinking can help you. I mean, you can gain innovative thinking by doing smart and useless and foolish things. Hey, Bruno. We finally meet. So, taking Mario's words previously about activities that going all over the world in like the technology person is meeting other people in makers places and all this movement of creating things together. So I'm going to run through a few groups that are in Israel. One of them is the Garage Geeks. It started as a deserted garage with a bunch of people that just wanted an excuse to get away from the wife and kids and play games together. It's like a men's club. And eventually it turned into thousands of people in this community, all sort of niches. Either it's music or SEO or whatever you wanted to speak about. As long as you're willing to create an event, something will happen. It's all about user-generated and natural cause. So if nobody will come, then maybe it's not that important subject to speak about. Other unconferences that created, I mean, these are just some highlights, and there are many unconferences and meetups just like here, is Kinnernet, and I'm going to speak about them in a few slides from now, and GeekOn. What's most key points that you can see in the slide that happen in those conventions, they are low budget, user-generated, time-limited, and fun. And it's something that I want to speak about because these are few key points that can teach you how to operate in a resourceless environment. And if you want to accomplish something in your spare time, then you need to focus. You need to make sure that you focus on the right thing. And if you add fun into it, then it also makes the process more fun. So Garage, this is how the place looks like. It's a picture that was taken in a music workshop that we created. It's a picture before the people came over. You can see, if you can see a few lines on the ground. How much time do I have? Plenty of time. So when we finished setting up the event at 6 p.m. before people arrived, I was so excited, me and Eyal Persson, and I was ready to go home because I finished something that I never did before. But eventually the whole workshop was amazing, and people came over and played music for the first time in their life in really quick engaging software called Live. This is another workshop that operated at the Garage. It's a global game jam contest. So these geeks came and for 36 hours developed games over the weekend as part of a global gaming contest. And we also have sessions, and here it's a session about television. Oh, you don't see the speaker, it's on the right. And GeekOn. GeekOn is, it used to be 2 days, and now it's 3 days of, again, 200 people coming, forming into groups. Of course, you have an idea that you create like a proof of concept at home, but you come and you bring everything with you, a car full of electricity or software or whatever you want to create. And it's a real bonanza of soldering and hot glue and alcohol, of course. You see there. Personally, I rather drink just at night and not through the day because you want to make something happen. Usenet, another convention, a small one, just one day, mashing people from the music technology industry and music classic academy, mashing up, so you exchanging ideas and trying new things together. And Kinernet, which is sort of the Rio de Janeiro carnival of all conferences, robots, people jumping around the air, and the waiting list to be part of this conference is way too long. But again, user generated. So I'm going to start with a personal quote from my early days of making things. And again, I think it comes from constraints. Creativity comes from either you want to make something bigger for other people, or maybe you want to make your mother happy, but the thing you're trying to struggle is probably a constraint. You need to make something smaller. You need to make something faster. And at the early 80s, my motivation was to get a Game Boy. Everybody at school had a Game Boy, and at least that's what I told my parents. And they didn't want to buy me one because you can guess why. So I didn't give up. I took a small box of cards, really small one, with a plastic cover, so it was transparent. I created a labyrinth inside with cardboard, threw in some chunks of magnets, and real live ants with big legs were cruising inside the labyrinth. And from underneath, I had another big magnet, and a Pac-Man magnet above was collecting all the chunks of magnets, and it was based on trust and loyalty, because you could know if an ant hit you or not. And people at school was really excited about it and wanted to play this new augmented reality game. Well, at least it was augmented for the game, for the ants. So I'm going to run to you a list of projects that will never be created unless those conventions and ways to create those bursts of creativity. People ask me, when do you have time to create those things? And I tell them, I don't have time. It's just like spontaneous. So most of the time it's important that you have a deadline, like there is a convention, so I need to show it at that time. Or you have a global game jam, there's a contest for creating games. So that's very good to have some milestone. So the first one is a guitar that teaches you how to play. I don't know how to play guitar, and I always want to learn, just wanted. So my vision was to create a guitar that teaches you how to play. Eventually you realize that you need to practice. The guitar will not teach you to practice. And a week before we realized that there is such a product, but it didn't stop us to create something because you should enjoy the process. So we took a regular acoustic guitar and drew just before GeekOn, that convention that I previously reminded, those 3 days convention that you build something with a group. So here it's at the Garage Geeks, we just drew one hole and we said, okay, we can draw holes through the next. Okay, so we're ready to go. And first day at GeekOn, it was 2 days. I sat down with 2 other guys until I think 3 a.m. just preparing the holes, 60 holes inside, and LEDs inside the neck of the guitar, and then hooking some smart card, Arduino it's called. And this is how it looks. So you can see the LEDs that tell you where to place your finger when you fret the guitar. And I want to show you an example of LED Zeppelin. So it's a LED. Can you barely see something? So it was working, and the day after it wasn't working. So that's how it goes with most of these projects. But recently I started doing some projects which last some longer time. And this is another great thing that you need to accomplish. You don't really need to build it just for one day for this bunch of kids. You need to build it for somebody that needs to run it live in front of an audience many times. You're not there, you're just giving them the firmware and the product, and that's it. So that's pretty scary. That's fooling around, okay? So that's a Dove Sheet Dove project. It's a huge dove from paper with a motion detection underneath. So it detects if somebody goes underneath, and it has a mechanism that press and just throw a chunk of dove soap on top of your head. So that's a Dove Sheet Dove project. Another thing that we did in Kinerit, it's tweet cheaters. At the time, a person that always tweets about everything that he does was referred as a tweet cheater. So we hooked the toilets with just a magnet detection. So if somebody was going into the toilet, it was tweeting into a Twitter account some random text that we wrote based, of course, on the amount of time that he was there. And we said that we will hook it into Google Analytics, but we didn't. Here is a very inspiring device, again in the music theme, called the Reactable. It's an amazing device with projector underneath and motion sensing, and everything is creating music. So you place objects and you create music with that. So we want to create something like that. It was mind-blowing at the time. Today we're beyond that. Everybody are, okay, it does music. I can touch that, and it does music. Nothing fancy, but it was like 7 years ago. So again, we took a regular laptop, and we wanted to, our vision was to create an affordable version of that amazing Reactable. So here you have a webcam and few elements that you can, the software detects, and was connected to music and controlling music by the orientation and the ID of the element. And then I gave it to a few people to wear those devices, and they were associated to some sound wave that they gave me, and I called it like a tangible kabuki. Again, fun, not so useful, but along the way you learn a lot of things about software, about music, about people, about working with people in a constrained environment, and you increase your skills. Getting dressed, I like to mix three things in my creations. One of them is technology, another one is games, and the other one is self-embarrassment. So if you're making a fool of yourself, that's a good word of mouth to spread some viral video clip about you. So the theme here was the idea here was to create a Tron custom. That's a helmet that these guys created. You take there is a software that you can take a 3D object and put it into it, and it gives you a paper cut that you can fold like an origami and create the same object. Just make sure about the resolution so you won't have too many polygons. And that's sort of the final creation. It was sort of a Batya Uziel, if you're familiar with this person. It wasn't a lot about software or rocket science, but it was about doing something geeky together. Again, with a deadline, so it wasn't very easy, so we had to work fast. And these are EL wires, electroluminescence. It's just like fluorescent, but in wires. So it was pretty buzzy suit, and that's the original, and that's myself with a pretty large helmet on the right. Games, so the Wii. Again, something that we are beyond, but before the Wii, there was a console war. There was a war between Microsoft and the PlayStation. Like Xbox and the PlayStation was like an arm war. More content, more CPU, more. They're saying that the people at Arab countries are using PlayStations for their atomic reactors. And then came this lame console with the same content, very weak infrastructure of a console. The same content, they used the same games. They didn't came up with a new game. But they had something that we were not familiar. They had an experience factor. And we were blown away by that. So nowadays, I'm playing with my hands, no worries. So I wanted to create a superhero person at that time that is functioning as the remote controller. So again, no rocket science, taking the regular remote, disassembling it, lots of SMD, not SMD, very fragile soldering, and that's me with that's a fully functional remote, so people can press it here, and the accelerometer was in my arm. That's one of the projects, the first project that I did with when entering that group of geeks called Guitar Hero Noid. She's falling asleep. So the idea here was to let the robot play the game of Guitar Hero. So we took, and again, another important thing was not to do anything intrusive. So take a real guitar and place it on a robot, and the robot will get the feed of the game and will play the game. And that's the second hand of the robot, and that's just how the things goes with the PlayStation, goes into the computer, and we'll go back to the not accelerometer, solenoids. It's like those electric things in your car that locked the door. So they were pressing the fingers, and that's the final how it looks. And this guy was touring around the world in a few conventions in La Web and Boston, and that's how it plays. So he was only detecting the plates that coming towards you. Whenever he sees something really next to the end, then he clicks. Windows. Yeah, I love computers. So another, that was nice. Pause the recording. Will it play from here? Yeah. So another project, a real virtual skater. Again, this was created before there was such a device on the market, and the idea was to increase the experience factor while playing the game. So this game is played using your fingers. You're riding a skateboard game using your fingers. So we want to take a real skateboard and ride on a real skateboard while playing the game. So you'll not be able to see the skateboard there, but we also modify the resources inside the game so it will resemble the skater. And again, we mode, no rocket science, but taking some motion detection element, placing it attached to a skateboard, projecting the game in front of you, dressed as you, and you're riding on a game, playing that game, riding on a skateboard and playing the game. And today there is such a device, a pressure board that you, not exactly by skating, but you feel more as if you're doing the real thing. Because these games are not, what is the skill that you're gaining over there? It's not Candy Crush, but it's something else. It's like playing Guitar Hero. You're not playing Guitar Hero, you're fantasizing that you are the guitar playing. You're actually playing some air guitar of your favorite band, and you're thinking that you're the rock star. So it's a fantasy game, and the same here. So we want to take the experience of flying and see if we can give such experience to people. So we took a small crane and some sleeping bag that attached to few wings from a unmanned aerial vehicle, like a malat. And in front of you, there's another airplane, but not really related to the project, but it's doing one very important thing. It's blowing tons of wind at you, like. So while you standing like that in the air with virtual reality goggles on your eyes, so you don't see anything. You just see Google Earth projecting the ground underneath and lots of wind at you. And underneath, if you can see underneath the wind, again, the Wiimote. So again, no rocket science, but something which was very claustrophobic and very thrilling for the people who experience it. So this is how it looks. You're not accomplishing anything. You're getting a new experience of something that you haven't had before. So everybody after the Wiimote were doing Kinect, right? Waving their hands and identifying skeletons. So I thought to myself that I need to take one step further because I don't want to do, I want to be a little bit different. So I find out that, that's the title of the project is let's play Angry Birds using my thoughts. And it came after I realized that there is such a device for $300 that doesn't read your mind. It's more inspiring and inspiring us as if it's a mind reader, but it's called emotive. So it's not emotion. It's like taking 14 microphones and putting them on your computer and let's see what the computer is doing right now. So I see that the GPU fan is working, so I guess maybe you're operating some movie or something. But it doesn't know that you clicked on a certain movie and what's the name of the movie and what's that specific cluster on your hard drive. So that's the same here. It's emotions. It's something very. It's not that subtle. It's not that sensitive. But still, you can map few emotions. And you don't want to get ALS and need this kind of equipment. Eventually, if you want to do something with the brain, with nowadays technology, you just need to take part of the skull or maybe put some needles inside. And this is how I play the game. Yeah, what's my wife standing in front of me, so I'm telling her that I don't see anything. You see anything? And that's me with my hands crossed. And here I was a little bit lucky because I hit the ground and then the final brick. And do I have more time? Or the bell? So a few tips, thinking inside the box or thinking outside the box. You need to think as well inside the box, because inside the box, that's where the problem is. Outside the box, there are many solutions, the solution space. But every now and then, when you try to solve a solution, go back to the problem and remind yourself what you're trying to solve. An example from a company called SEAT is about two prisoners that they dug a tunnel outside of prison, and they don't know where to hide the dirt, so where can they hide the dirt? So eventually they hide the dirt inside the tunnel. So every day they were digging and putting the sand with the bags inside the tunnel. I know that physically it's not a solution, but that's the idea, that the solution can be inside the problem as well. A few more examples about thinking inside the box, how to enhance speech recognition. So speech is something that comes from our lips. So if you add lip detection or recognition to speech recognition in a noisy environment, you can enhance the speech recognition as well. Distribute, that's a tip about, a few tips about not just thinking inside the box, but doing all sort of projects or things that you have to solve. So distribute means that if you build something, don't build everything in one unit, don't glue everything together, because you might want to replace one of the parts so in this example, in iMac, when the webcam breaks, then there's no computer, so you need to take everything for repair. It doesn't look that good, but distribute, what do you do? And that's not interesting. That's not interesting. Time, it's tips about creating projects in, let's say, 3 days. And team, get some rest, and scope. So eventually, if I remind fun previously, in those 3 days or 2 days or resource-less environment, when you try to do something which is not mission critical, you should remember what you want to accomplish and not fight about everything. No, without that, we're not going to do it, because otherwise you might not hit the target that you eventually wanted to hit. So scope is also important. In this example, yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted something that fires underneath the wing. So I made few compromises here. Thank you very much, and now go create something.